Do you want to get the best recruit? Do you want to get the biggest project? Do you want your team to outperform any other team out there? To be able to get these things, you need to master the art of communication. In this video, I'll go over the 13 steps that I use day in and day out, and I call them the basics of communication. The first step to master communication is: what is your intended result? What is the intention of your communication? What do you want out of it? This is extremely important so that you understand why are you having that communication, that meeting, why are you making that call in the first place? What do you want out of it? What is the result that you're trying to accomplish? Because the more you know about that intended result, then the easier for you will be to drive that communication, and the better that you're going to be able to visualize it and articulate what you want out of that communication. The goal is for you to get what you want with business communication. Step number 2 for mastering business communication: do your research beforehand. What information is available out there? What is publicly available? What kind of information can you get using AI or ChatGPT that would make your communication and your interaction even more meaningful? What more value can you add to that communication because you are already prepared and you know what's publicly available, and you use tools like ChatGPT or other AI tools to really go prepared to that meeting? It's going to put you in a way better position to get exactly what you want. Step number 3 to mastering business communication: be mindful in the words that you use. Are the words that you're using really conveying the message that you're trying to convey? Do you understand the meaning of the words that you're using, or are you just using some words because someone used it and then you thought it was a cool word and now you're bringing it into your vocabulary and in your questions? Because if that's the case, then you may be using the wrong word that may not convey the right message, and it may make you seem that you are not confident and that you don't know what you're talking about. Use a dictionary. A dictionary is going to be your best friend. Use a dictionary, clear any misunderstandings that you have, and what's going to happen is that you're just going to sound very, very confident, and you're going to sound truthful because the words that you're using are your words. You clear those words. You fully understand what those words are, and you're asking a question with conviction because you can articulate exactly what's in your mind so that you can get to where you want to get. Step number 4 to master business communication: use questions rather than statements. Questions will pull people in and will invite them to be part of the conversation. Statements will push people away and may not invite them to even give you a reply. Your opinion, your ideas, your belief, they can all be built into your questions. As an example, you can ask a question like, considering the massive growth in this community in the last 10 years, would you consider looking at a 20-year planning horizon for the future of the infrastructure in this community? With this question, you are inviting the opinion of the individual to consider a planning horizon of 20 years for infrastructure because of all the growth that you have seen. You can put this into a statement by simply telling the person, hey, you should consider a 20-year planning horizon for your infrastructure because there is a lot of infrastructure and growth that happened in the last 10 years. One is just stating something and pushing the person away, versus the other one that is posing a question and then pulling the person in. Now the person is there paying attention, very close to you, thinking, okay, so what do I believe about this? What kind of information do I have? What is my opinion? What do I know? How can I respond to this question? Versus in the other one, you're just saying something. So the person may reply or may not reply, may give you an acknowledgement, and may be the end of the conversation. And I don't think that's what you're looking for. Step number 5 to master business communication. Listen in capital letters. This step is extremely important. Listen, be present, don't look at your phone, don't look at your watch, don't listen just to think about what is it that you're going to say next without like listening to really the information that you're being provided. Just listen with the intention to get an answer to the question that you just asked. And I'll repeat that. Listen with the intention to get an answer to the question that you just asked. 90% of the people just listen, and while they're listening, they're thinking about what is it that they're going to say next, or they're watching their phone, or because their speaking time is done, now they don't have to pay attention. And that actually completely breaks the communication cycle because the other person knows. You may think that they don't know, but the fact that you're not paying attention is seen in your eyes, in your gestures, whether you are taking notes or not taking notes. Are you paying attention? Are you there in the room? And if you don't listen, you won't be able to complete the other steps. And by default, I can almost guarantee you 100% that you won't get what you want. You won't get that recruit. You won't get that project, and you most definitely won't get your team to outperform other teams. Step number 6 to master business communication. Take notes. It is actually a sign of respect and not of disrespect. I've met a bunch of people that say, well, I don't want to take notes because I don't want to stop looking at the person in the eyes, or I don't want to feel dumb, or the person to believe that I don't have a good memory. Disregard all that garbage. It's actually a sign of respect and a sign that you actually value the time of the person that you're talking to. If your questions are really meaningful and this communication is really meaningful, which it should be, and if you have done all the previous 5 steps, now you're getting gold. Information is a form of gold for your business and for what you are trying to accomplish. The information that you're getting is what's getting you closer to your intended result, be it a new project, a new person that you're hiring for your business, getting your team all excited to be able to outperform and do an amazing job, or getting what you want in life. So take notes, because this is valuable information that you'll use in the future and in the following steps. Step number 7 to master business communication: acknowledgement. You can do this with a gesture, you can do this with a comment, you can do this with another question, but just make very, very certain that the person knows that the communication was received. This can break the communication cycle completely, because you're receiving some communication and you just forgot to acknowledge. The person may actually keep on talking because they haven't received an acknowledgement. Or the person may actually disengage completely because they don't know whether you received the communication or even if you care about what communication you receive. It's very important that you give an acknowledgement. This can be a thank you for the information. Yes, I understand. Yes, I agree. I disagree. Make a gesture, do something, but acknowledge the communication that you're receiving. Step number 8 to master business communication: get an answer to your question. This step is almost all the time missed in business communication. Someone asks a question, and then the person gives out some information, and talks for 60 seconds, but your question was not answered. And when you don't get an answer to your question, it sends the message that your question didn't have any meaning, that you really didn't put any thought to your question, that you don't care very much about the question that you ask, and the communication just goes downward from here. Like at this point, you are diminishing the value of the intended result that you were trying to accomplish, diminishing the value of the person's time, and diminishing the value of your time. It may seem that it wasn't meaningful, that it was routine type communication. Maybe you were just calling to check a box in your action item or in your battle plan that your boss gave you, said call this person, and you just called the person to ask a question, you didn't get an answer, you hang up, and that was the end of the conversation. You need to get an answer to the question that you ask, especially if you're following every single step and you did the previous 7 steps. It's absolutely essential that you get an answer to the question that you ask. It just puts importance in your communication. It shows that you value the time of the person that you're talking to, and it also shows that you've done your research and you're asking a meaningful question, moving toward the intended result of that communication. Step number 9 to master business communication. Ask another question that comes out from the information that you just received. This is a follow-up question. This step will make you really listen and listen actively. Be present right there so that you can ask another question based on the information that you were just provided. This will show whoever you're talking to that you actually care enough about the information that you're being provided, about that answer, about that communication cycle, that you're asking another question so that you can get more information about what you were just provided. Like they gave you something and now you got that something and you're like, what about this little piece right here? Can you tell me more about that thing? Like all of a sudden they're talking to you about this new facility that they're building, and this facility is going to have a little park outside and it's going to have 27 parking spaces, and then it's also going to have like this beautiful entrance with some glass, and you're like, but wait a minute, like how are you gonna be able to like assemble that glass right there in the front door, and how is that glass gonna be like manufactured? Like who's building that glass for you? That's so interesting. And is it gonna have like the logos of the city in there? Who's doing that for you? Like all of a sudden you're being interested about the communication that you were just provided. And remember, always your questions and follow-up questions should drive you closer to your intended results. They shouldn't be just questions for the hell of asking a question. These are questions that are getting you closer to the intended result. Don't lose focus. Step number 10 to master business communication. Once you get to your intended result, communicate that to the other person. You may say, thank you. You may say, you've been really, really helpful. Thank you very much for providing me with this information. But communicate that to the other person so that you can give closure to that back and forth of questions and follow-up questions. And now that you've achieved the intended result or what you were looking for in that communication, then you can acknowledge that that happened, communicate that, and get on to the next step or the next thing that you got to do. But you got to give closure. Don't leave that open and just ask questions for the hell of asking questions. Just ask meaningful questions. Once you get to your intended result, this is a done deal. Move on. Step number 11 to master business communication. What are the next steps? What are you going to do next? Now that you have accomplished your intended results, you got the information, you let them know that you got the information that you were looking for. Where do you go from here? Talk about those next steps right there in that communication. And very important, You must get agreement. Agree on what the next steps are. Hey, we will talk again in 3 weeks or meet again in 3 weeks in my office once you move to Florida from California, because we got an amazing business environment right here in Florida. So once you moved here in Florida, then we're gonna have another conversation so that we can bring you on board. That is the agreement. You discuss the next steps and you're ready to go. Step number 12 to master business communication. Complete the actions that you both agree in the time that was agreed upon. This is extremely important. This is the step where you actually build confidence. This is where you outperform the rest of your competition. This is the step where you actually get that thing that you want. A lot of people can talk. A lot of people are able to ask questions and they can be persuasive, but very few can follow through with their actions and the things that they say that they're going to do. So this is the step where you stand out and you actually get the thing that you want. This is where you get the amazing hire. This is where you get your team to perform like Spartans. This is where you actually get the opportunity to get the amazing project that is going to change your company forever. When you actually follow through and you do the actions that you say you were going to do in the agreed upon time. If you said 24 hours, by God, do it in 24 hours. If you said you were going to have something done or you were going to have another meeting in 2 weeks, make sure that meeting happens and follow through and get that done. Step number 13 to master business communication. Update your customer relationship management software, your CRM. Make sure that after you took all these notes and you have all these actions that you agreed upon with this individual, that you put all that gold, all that information into your CRM. This is extremely valuable and it's time consuming and tedious. If you don't have someone that can do it for you, then you gotta do it yourself, but do it. It's extremely important because the next time that you meet this person, then you can go to your CRM and then you can see the notes of the communication and the conversation, the meeting, the call that you had with this person. And then next time that you meet, you don't have to repeat yourself. And this is going to be even more important when you're dealing with a very sharp person that has a very good memory, so that you are not repeating yourself and you look dumb in front of someone that is asking, well, why are you here again asking me about the same two things that you asked me when we met 3 months ago? Do you think I got nothing else to do but to answer your same questions every quarter of the year? How stupid will you look? Make sure you update your CRM and you don't repeat yourself, especially when you're dealing with A players. I just went through 13 steps to master business communication. And I guarantee you, if you follow these 13 steps exactly, you'll get what you're looking for. You'll get the big project. You'll get that superstar to join your team. You'll get your team to outperform and do the greatest things because they understand exactly where you're coming from and how you are supporting them and how you're helping them. When you're talking to a client because you want this next big project, then you're able to articulate what your beliefs and ideas are and you engage them in the communication so that you can get that very valuable information, such as the problems that they're having right now that you can solve with your services, and then with your amazing follow through and doing the things that you say you're going to do, you do that and you'll get the things that you want. And now that you know how to get the things that you want through communication in business, the next video for you to watch is the A to Z in project management. Now, how do I manage the project? Now that I got this large project, what is the best way for me to effectively manage this project so that I can build something amazing and of value? I can motivate my team and I can keep things going forward. This is the video right here, A to Z project management. Go watch it now.